What happened to fireflies? Do you remember catching fireflies as a kid? You'd wait until it was almost dark, you would walk into the yard, and you would catch those fireflies in your hand or in a jar, and it just felt like you captured magic. Not one or two, but dozens of fireflies used to be flying around. For a lot of millennials and older Gen Z, this was our childhood. Now, I feel like you barely see them. So the big question is, what happened? The short answer, fireflies did not disappear everywhere, and not every species is declining in the same way. A wet spring can still produce a very strong firefly season, and then you can have a drought which could make a summer seem almost empty. But across many places, the conditions that fireflies depend on have changed. Most of their habitat has been removed, the night has become brighter, and the ground they develop in has been treated with chemicals. I feel like the fireflies are telling us something about the world and how it has changed. But before we get into that, it helps to understand what a firefly actually needs. Most of the firefly life happens before it ever glows in your backyard. The adults we see are only one stage. Firefly larvae live close to the ground, often in moist soil, leaf litter, low vegetation, and around rotted wood. They need places that stay cool and damp. They need small creatures to eat. They need a yard, field, wetland, or forest edge that still has some wildness in it. That matters because many of the places where people used to see fireflies have been redesigned to remove exactly those things and conditions that are needed for a firefly to flourish. Just think about the modern suburban yard. You're gonna see short grass, clean edges, bright lights, pesticide treatments, fewer leaves on the ground, less shade, more pavement, more development. It may look maintained, but it's not always a good place for an insect that spends much of its life in the soil. The first major issue is habitat loss. A firefly doesn't need a giant forest to survive, but it does need the right kind of land. Wet areas, overgrown edges, native plants, damp leaf litter, and patches of undisturbed ground all matter. When a field becomes a parking lot, that habitat is gone. When a wetland is drained, that habitat is gone. When a backyard is turned into mostly turf, concrete, and other decorative landscaping, the habitat becomes much less useful. No single new house causes this entire problem, but the development happens piece by piece. A field becomes a neighborhood, and then the neighborhood gets more lights. A drainage ditch replaces a creek. The remaining natural spaces become smaller and more disconnected. Eventually, there are fewer places where fireflies can complete their life cycle. Now, the second issue is light pollution. This one's pretty easy to miss because lights overall seem pretty harmless. A porch light, a security light, a landscaping light, a street lamp, a bright storefront down the road. But fireflies actually use light to communicate. The flashes that they do are actually not random. Different species use different patterns and timing to find mates. One firefly flashes, another responds. The pattern helps them recognize each other in the dark, and artificial light can interfere with that communication. If the background is too bright, a firefly signal is harder to see. It's a little like trying to recognize someone whispering your name in a crowded stadium. The problem is not that single porch light that destroys every firefly nearby. The problem is the total amount of artificial light in a neighborhood, city, or roadside. Us humans have made the night brighter than it used to be. And for animals that depend on the darkness, that changes everything. And the third and final issue is pesticides. People use pesticides for understandable reasons. Nobody wants mosquitoes, ticks, or lawn damage. But insecticides do not know which insects we consider annoying and which ones we remember fondly from our childhood. Fireflies are insects. Their larvae depends on a healthy ground ecosystem. When lawns and gardens are repeatedly treated to remove insects and other small creatures, it can affect fireflies directly and reduce the food available to them. A yard with fewer pests may also be a yard with fewer fireflies. That doesn't mean every person who sprays a lawn is personally responsible for firefly decline. But on a larger scale, millions of small chemical decisions can add up. And fireflies are especially vulnerable because they need healthy soil, healthy prey, and darkness all at the same time. Climate change can also add another layer. Fireflies are sensitive to moisture and temperature. Drought can dry out the places where larvae develop. Flooding can damage the wetland habitat. Warmer winters and unpredictable seasons can affect when insects emerge and when they reproduce. Climate change is not the only cause, and it does not affect every region in the same way, but it makes an already difficult situation less predictable. That's why you may see a huge firefly display one summer and almost none the next. But all in all, there's something really sad about this, because fireflies used to feel ordinary. They didn't feel like an attraction. They were simply a part of being outside in June or July. And when something ordinary disappears, people often do not notice right away. You don't wake up one morning and think, there's no more fireflies. You notice years later. It's kind of like what happened to me. You're outside one night, you remember what the yard used to look like, and you realize you haven't seen that glow in a long time. But hear me out, that feeling is bigger than fireflies. It's the feeling that the world you grew up in has changed while you were busy living in it. But the good news is, fireflies are not beyond help. You don't need to become an expert or turn your yard into a nature preserve. A few changes can make a real difference. Turn off unnecessary outdoor lights, especially at night or during the firefly season. If you need outdoor lighting, use it only where it's necessary and keep it pointed down. Leave some leaf litter instead of removing every leaf from the yard. Let a small corner of your property grow a little wild. Use fewer pesticides when possible. Plant native species, keep areas with shade and moisture, protect the edges of yards, gardens, and nearby streams instead of treating every inch of land like it needs to be controlled. Fireflies do not need protection. They need room for darkness, for damp ground, room for the small parts of nature that are easy to ignore until they're gone. And I think that's why this topic hits people so deeply. Fireflies are not only about insects, they're about memory. They remind us of a time when the world felt larger, slower, and more mysterious. But maybe the point is not to wish we could go back. Maybe the point is to notice that we still have time to protect. Because change not only happens in one direction, the world around us changes through small decisions repeated over time. So do we. We become different through what we make room for. We become different through what we pay attention to. And sometimes the first step is simple. Turn off the light. Step outside. Give your eyes a minute to adjust. You may be surprised by what is still there, waiting in the dark. If you enjoyed that video, please subscribe, leave a like, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.